Our small tug seemed even smaller than usual as we wove our way through the heavy traffic in the system, wary of the thousands of guns and ships keeping an absurdly close watch on us. The star system bustled with more activity than even a major trade hub. But for some reason there were very few, if any, actual cargo ships or trade vessels. Most ships were heavily armed mercenary vessels, warships, and mobile battle groups. We were paid extra cash for this, no questions asked job, and I already regretted it. The job was simply to deliver some starbase expansion modules, mostly hydroponics equipment. So here we were, jumped into the star system, and within seconds we had 10 battleship-class vessels aiming their guns at us, demanding ident details. We collectively shat ourselves at the sight and hastily garbled the codes and details we were given. After they all got the idea, we were redirected to a small starbase marked by a large dome structure in its center. It was called Joe's Bar and Grill. What's a bar? What's a grill? We didn't know as we approached and were allowed inside of the base shield to offload what we brought. A menagerie of species and races were there, most of which were security personnel who regarded both each other and us as a threat as they brandished various firearms and blades at us. Apes, slugs, fungi, even robots and stranger creatures than us all seemed to work together in some kind of uneasy alliance simply to protect this place. We all wondered why, as what we assumed to be a dockmaster of some kind appeared and squelched up to me. Our translation matrices made short work of our conversation. "Good day. You are Captain Wagafasticus of the courier company I asked for?" he asked with a strange smile. Yeah. Just call me Wag." "Everyone does," I replied, extending one of my claws in greeting. "Forerunner couriers at your service." "You needed greenhouse equipment, apparently?" "Indeed we did," he said, and gleefully shook my hand in standard greeting. "We have been looking forward to this for weeks. Come, quick now, must not wait. It's nearly lunchtime," he gleefully yelled. He then turned to the crowd of assembled soldiers and security and yelled, "Hydroponics are here, boys! Get it installed!" The crowd yelled out in glee and hastily headed over to my tiny ship to recover the equipment we brought in. Grow lamps, centrifuge trays, several tons of fertile soil, and other things necessary. Old tech, but apparently valuable to the right buyer. I helped offload the stuff and was handed a paycheck 3 times what I was expecting from the job. "Whoa, wait, hold on! This job was only for 2,000 Dactarians. Why did you give me 6,000? I asked. "Because that's what we do here. Good service is always rewarded. No backstabbing, no counter-offers, no nonsense. We always give a bit extra to those who don't argue and deliver fast. I look forward to working with you in future. Now come on in, I'll treat you to a brew. Now we got the equipment for it," the dockmaster replied, almost physically dragging me inside the small building. Upon entering, I was overcome by a host of smells, scents, and feelings I never encountered before. The atmosphere was heavy with jubilation and relaxation. Tables of all sizes and shapes around a flat room with a long counter prominent against one wall, with smaller stools propped up against it. A variety of aliens, most of which were council races and a few that I had never seen before, all arrayed before me in a setting that seemed more than just a bit out of place. I looked around and saw an empty seat at the bar. Unfortunately, it was next to a Vicarian warrior. Large, ape-like creatures with 4 arms and an attitude that matched his bulk. I gave up trying to make sense of it all and just looked around me for now. Some Olivarchians were sitting around a table smoking a strange liquid substance out of some strange glass device. The smell from it was potent but not offensive. It seemed to make me feel calmer for some reason. At another table was the oddest sight in the universe. A Sicarian and a Borealis not actively attempting to tear each other apart. I had to smack myself to see if I was dreaming, but it was in fact real. 2 sworn enemies that have been at each other's throats for millennia, calmly sitting at a table together, not killing each other. A strange smog, likely from the smoking of various substances, hopefully not lethal ones, hung close to the ceiling. A strange aura of calmness wafted around me as I turned and sat face to face with the place's owner, presumably. A human. It certainly looked human, at least. That's what the archive said. 2 eyes, arms with 2 hands, 2 legs, no natural weapons, and a tuft of hair on its head and chin. I thought they were extinct. I couldn't really react before he spoke first. "Well, howdy. Welcome to Joe's Bar and Grill. You seem new. I'm Joseph, or simply Joe. What can I get for you?" he said with a warm and friendly smile. The Vicarian next to me grunted something angrily. Yeah, Macalith, cool your fur, your burger's on the grill. Other customers exist, you know, so what can I get you? Joe replied to the grunt. The Vicarian let out a sad whimper and impatiently tapped his right foot. I tried to ignore it. Well, I don't really know. Do you have anything for a herbivore? I can't eat meat, I replied. Veggie burger, burrito, pizza, or perhaps just some greens in a bowl? He asked. He will take a burrito. I know his kind. Trust me, he will take the burrito. The Vicarian barked, glaring at me side-eyed. Now you look here, Vicarian, I tried to say. The entire bar stopped, stared at me, and glared angrily at me, as if I had just broken some unwritten rule that was unforgivable. The sudden menace made me stop mid-insult. I cowered under the weight of the crowd's gaze and just sank into my seat, nodding my approval at the menu choice, and tried to stay quiet. The angry crowd, satisfied I'd been successfully subdued, carried on their conversations and activities as they had never stopped. I tried to stay calm. The human just shrugged his shoulders and vanished into the back. The Vicarian did nothing beyond glaring at me sideways and sipping liquid from a glass. A minute or so later, the human reappeared, holding a rather large but shockingly tasty-smelling item on a plate. I recognized it as a burger item from the menu arrayed in front of me. Presumably one made just for Vicarian tastes, I assumed. Joe placed the plate down. Here you go, bud. 1 double-cheese Vacker bun with no pickle and a side of fries with a Coke. Just the way you like it. The human said with enthusiasm and put a strange bubbling black liquid down too, along with some delightfully smelling pointy sticks of some kind in a small box. I'd smelled the scent of those strange sticks and couldn't stop staring at them, my mouth watering. Joe took it as his cue and spoke. Apparently I will be adding a side of fries with your burrito. Coming right up. The Vicarian grabbed the strange flat cylindrical object and took a deep breath of its scent. Just as he was about to sink his teeth into it, he noticed my expression and hunger. He sighed heavily and took some of the strange sticks. French fries? Have a taste, he said, and gave me a few of them. I took them and sniffed them. Root vegetables of some kind cooked in some way. I tasted it and melted. I went to heaven. Lightly salted, just enough you know it's there. Crispy and crunchy on the outside, but so soft on the inside. A root vegetable cooked to absolute perfection in some way I couldn't fathom. He picked up his burger and sank his teeth into it. The Vicarian barbarian I knew suddenly vanished and was replaced by a peacemaker. The aura of hatred and anger surrounding him vanished. He chewed on it slowly and emitted a groan of pure happiness. Before I could ask what was going on, Joe returned and placed a plate in front of me. I was immediately overcome by the smell of it. A different scale of vegetables and even fruit-like things broke my brain and made me unreasonably hungry. Alongside that, a glass receptacle of bubbling liquid and a small bag of those stick things called fries. I barely recognized any of the items. The burrito, as it was an odd wrapped thing of pastry or bread of some kind, stuffed with various things I didn't know about but wanted to eat. Every fiber of my being demanded I eat it. A mix of colors, green, red, yellow, and what I correctly surmised to be a vegetarian meat supplement of sorts, all oozing some amazing smelling, thick brown liquid. I picked it up and tried to figure out how to eat it. The Vicarian cleared his throat and mimed out how to take my first bite of it. I swear upon the graves of all ancient peoples that a part of my soul separated from me and went to paradise in the afterlife the very second I sank my flat teeth into that burrito. The bread substance was indeed bread of some kind and crunched softly. The insides were a mix of cold and hot. The odd red things, tangy and sweet. The yellow and green bits were mixes of a leafy thing and a few bits of an odd thing that had a bite of its own. The filling was indeed meat, but it wasn't. It looked like meat. It even tasted like meat. But there was something about it in my brain, an instinct that screamed, "Shut up, it's not meat, now keep eating," or something. I emitted grunts, growls, and moans of pure bliss as I ate the burrito. I don't think for a solid 15 minutes I said a single word or correctly uttered a syllable. I was enjoying myself far too much. By now the rest of my crew had wandered in and sat down at their own tables. Joe had greeted them and offered the same thing I was eating after they asked. The burrito was too much for me. By the time it was half done, I was full, but every iota of my existence was begging me to eat the whole thing. Each bite had a new journey, a new story to tell, a new song to sing, a new flavor to add. The sauce had congealed at the bottom of it, and I greedily lapped it up in hunger. I was not hungry anymore, but I grabbed the box of fries and scarfed them down like an absolute grandkrat. I felt so full I swear I would explode. What was it about this cooking? I finally looked around me and noticed my fellows had received their meals and were crying with happiness at the event. They too couldn't stop eating either. The Vicarian was looking at me, slowly stirring a cup of some kind of hot black beverage. He had a smirk on his face. The knowing one, not the smug one. "So, how did you like your burrito?"
"Told you you'd like it,"
he said, and with more smugness than I knew existed, sipped his hot beverage. I raised a hand in protest, but the words didn't come out. I was just too fat. Or, what is the verb or adjective to describe how you eat something so delicious it kills a part of your soul and makes you overeat yourself into a coma? I'm going to go with fooded. Seems as reasonable a word as any. The Vicarian just chuckled in response and carried on. I know. It was like that my first time eating at Joe's place. God, what a time. Still get that tingle thanks to the burger sauce. It feels like home, he said. What even is this place? I thought humans were all gone, I said, barely managing to garble a sentence out from my food-drunk stupor. Joe's Bar and Grill. A human owns this place and serves human food here, with human ingredients from long-lost Earth. Joe is basically the only one who is left, he replied. Oh, I said and stayed quiet for a bit while my brain woke up again.
"Why?"
I asked eventually. Because I like cooking, growing ingredients, and meeting people. So why not? Joe replied as he put a cup of some odd black substance in a smaller cup in front of me. Here you go, Ceylon blend tea. Works better for you herbivores than coffee does. I gave the strange concoction a sniff, and by the ancients did it smell nice. It was definitely tea. We were familiar with the concept, of course, but I had never smelled or subsequently tasted something so rich and fulfilling. I stirred it and took a sip, and at that moment yet another part of my soul disintegrated and vanished to paradise. Why was the food here of such incredible quality? Why was of all things a human in charge of the place? What even was all this? Before I could ask anything, Joe suddenly yelled out, "Hey, lads! Hydroponics are replaced. Looks like beer's back on the menu," he yelled. The calm of the assembled crowd suddenly shattered into a frenzy of divine praise and happiness. What was beer? Once again, I couldn't ask any questions as Joe gave me a glass bottle with a metal cap. Here you go, bud, on the house. Thanks for delivering that hydroponics equipment. Can finally start growing this season's hops crop. You are welcome. But what's this? I asked. Beer. Ice-cold beer. Malt, hops, yeast, and water left to ferment for 1 year. Gives a basic taste without too much alcohol. Gives a soft buzz and not enough of it to be dangerous to anyone in the galaxy. It's the perfect basic brew. Been keeping these ones on ice for a special occasion. And you're it. Enjoy, he said with a happy smile and used a tool to pop the metal cap off it. Once again, the smell, the strangely bitter but refreshing taste, the strange feeling of accomplishment, cooling, and comfort I got from it made a part of my soul vanish. I swear, if I didn't know better, I'd say I was already dead from that. The Vicarian smirked at me again. I know, right? Amazing stuff. But hydroponics gardens packed up a few weeks ago, so he's been keeping it off the counter for only VIP guests and regulars because he can't replace any too easily. So good to have this stuff around. It's almost like nourishment for the soul, not just the body, he said, sipping his beverage. I don't think I have a soul left after that. I died and went to paradise too many times, I said with a light buzz in my head. So that explains why this star system is more heavily defended than most capitals, I remarked. Yep, it's because of the treasure trove of rare tasty food, rare tasty drink, atmosphere of brotherhood and peace, and also because of the only human left alive. He said, Suddenly this all makes a bit more sense, I said. He just chuckled. "Too bad there aren't more humans around. I wish there were more of them," he replied. "What do you mean?" Joe idly asked while polishing a container. "Joe, are you aware you are the only human alive?" I said plainly. He stared at us, then burst into laughter. "What?" "No, I'm not! Everyone else is back home in the Milky Way. Everyone just got tired of dealing with all of the Skatandi and their stupid warmongering, so we just packed up and left. Our real home is in Sol, way back there," he said, pointing to the starlight of a distant galaxy. "I wonder if I should fire up the old teleporter beacon and invite some old buddies over for drinks." "Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, wait, I forgot about—" "I'll do that after I finish making that pie," Joe said, apparently now talking to himself as he retreated back into the kitchen. This left the rest of us suddenly stunned into silence. Humans weren't extinct? They just got tired of the backstabbing warmongers of the galaxy and walked away? And also they didn't come from this galaxy but their own? And he had a teleporter? They have that kind of technology? Not only to cross the void between galaxies, but also to do it instantly. The silence continued uncomfortably while we contemplated, imagined, and nightmare-dreamed all the possibilities of just how completely screwed we were. What kinds of machinery did they have to cross the empty void? What weapons did they have to safely ignore the horrors between universes in the cold empty? What kind of creatures were they that they could hold their own? And Joe himself was over 200 years old now, considering how old this place was, judging from the signs stating the day of its founding. How long did humans live? "Pie's done," Joe bellowed from the kitchen. "Desserts on lads!" he yelled, the room suddenly filling with the sweet smell of fruity berries and baked sugars. Joe seemed to have forgotten about the teleporter, and we kind of pretended to do the same as we all enjoyed a slice of blueberry pie on the house, of course.